Welcome, welcome everybody to Tech Talks. It's September and we're starting actually a new series called Change Your Outlook. We're going to have Braden present to us today. We're excited for him to go over some just foundational formatting. And it's all about just your Outlook client, or even, things that can translate if you have a different email client. So we're excited to approach this topic. Before we get started, let's go ahead and make sure that we're ready by clearing the virtual and physical space around us from any distractions. Make sure that we're set by muting our phones to keep the lines clear of background noise, and then let's participate. Feel free to reach out to me in the chat. I'll be monitoring that today. Jane's going to keep time. You can raise your hand in the reactions bar, or you can also just speak up over the phone if you have a question. Feel free to engage. Our monthly challenge this month was to review the tabs and options bar up in the ribbon at the top of your Outlook or whatever email client that you have. So we hope you took some time to do that. And we're going to go ahead and turn the time over to Braden to teach us some more.
All right. Thanks, Jane. Let me turn on the thing there and share my screen. Okay, so welcome. Like Jane said, this is going to be the first of 3 Tech Talks that we have about Microsoft Outlook. It's probably one of the more widely used, it's definitely one of the most widely used email clients, but it's probably one of the most widely used applications on your computer, period. Unless you use Gmail or something, then you'd use that app a lot, but Microsoft Outlook is quite common. And it's pretty common, I think, that we kind of just take the default settings and the default layouts and the default setup and just run with it, and which is fine. And those settings in many cases are default for a reason. But today we're going to kind of start at the beginning and cover some sort of top level formatting ideas. In addition, we might be able to get into a few little details about things. Some of this stuff you may have already heard. Some of it, hopefully, much of it will still be new to you. But what we're going to talk about a little bit is kind of some settings that we can change and adjusting the way that your Outlook application looks and how you interact with it. Oh, come on, why isn't it wanting to change? Oh, sorry. Okay. So we will be covering the email, the contacts, and the calendar sections of Outlook. And keep in mind that there are seriously hundreds of ways to customize and change your Outlook, and we'll only be covering just a handful of them. But this Tech Talk might actually appear a bit different in some ways because we'll be jumping around a little bit between a few of the different formatting and layout options available, between the PowerPoint slides and just my Outlook. I've set it up so that I can show you exactly how it looks on my Outlook. And we're kind of just going to be going sort of item by item, kind of showing you this is how you can do this, this is how you can do that. If you want to take some notes, that's fine. If you want to reach out to me afterwards, how was it that you did XYZ thing? Feel free to reach out to me and I can walk you through it, or we can set up a one-on-one Zoom call and I can show you how to do stuff. I'm not by any means a great expert, but I'm pretty comfortable with what I'm gonna show you today and kind of some of the basics of it. So keep in mind, depending on how the organization that you work for handles things, some of the options may be grayed out or may be unavailable to you. When I was kind of coming up with ideas and things that we could do, I found some options that were unavailable to me. So obviously we won't be talking about those, but that's just a possibility. But most of these options should be available to everybody who uses Outlook. So we'll go ahead and get started. So the first thing we're going to cover is the email portion of Outlook. We're going to look at the inbox layout. We're going to look at the font and text size and kind of how to tweak that stuff, and how to change it permanently, basically change your default on that. We're going to look at the email signature box, and then a feature called grouping conversations, or basically they call it conversations, but it basically groups emails. So let's just go ahead and jump. This is just my Outlook. Everything that I created was, these are mostly just junk emails that I've gotten. So there's no compromising information or anything that could come out. So don't worry about that. But first, when you open Outlook, most likely your Outlook looks something like this. This is just to orient you to basically the main window here, and what I'm going to call the certain parts that we're going to be moving around to. These up here are the tabs across the very top, and then beneath that is the ribbon. So when you change a tab, you change the ribbon options. And then the main layout is typically going to be in 3 panes, is what they're called. The first pane is going to be your folders. The second pane is basically the list of emails, your email list. And then the third pane they call the reading pane. And it obviously brings up the email that you got, and so you can read it without having to open it up into a new window. So to change this layout of kind of these main 3 panes, what we're going to do is we're actually going to come up here to the View tab, which this is fairly common. We'll be using the View tab more a couple of times today. And then they have some buttons right here under the layout option on the ribbon that automatically give you some basically preset layouts. And this, obviously, each one corresponds to one of the different panes. So if you want to change the way the folder pane looks, you'll click here and it gives you some options. If you want to minimize it, you'll see it goes away, and now you can just see the little option to basically click on the arrow and go from there, right? And jump around. But it's not always there, which gives you more real estate for your other panes. And one thing I forgot to mention, these panes are adjustable. So if you hover over the side of it, you can make them as big or as small as you need to. You can go back to normal. You can turn it off altogether if you don't want to see folders. If you do that, the only way to get it back is to come up here and find it again. The reading pane is going to make the biggest difference. The default is with the reading pane on the right, like I have it here. You can change it so that it's on the bottom. The benefit of this is going to be that you actually get a lot more information from your email list. You can see all these different columns, like when it was received and the size and the categories, and we can adjust these columns here, the information that it's telling us in the email list. And I'll show you in just a second how to do that. But the downside of this is that you don't have as much real estate for the reading pane. So for example, this is from Dr. Good is the head of UHealth. So you don't have as much, it doesn't look as good. You kind of have to scroll through it to be able to see the whole email in this format. Whereas with it on the right, you see a lot more of the email. And then you can just turn it off altogether and have just your list of emails, if that's the way you like to navigate through your emails. And in this case, you'll double click on one and it'll just pop up in an open window. The to-do bar basically adds a 4th column or pane to your email inbox. So you can click on the calendar and you'll see it pops up your calendar here, and it will actually bring up the items that you have today. You can add also tasks, and it'll pop up at the bottom. If you've got a task list, you can do one or none, or well, one or more, or none of them. But that's another option you can do, that you can actually add your task list, for example, and have those always available to the right. And that will work with any of the other layouts. It just throws a 4th column on there. So right now, I'm going to turn the reading pane off really quick because I want to talk for just a second about all these columns. This is where you'll see there are hundreds of different ways you can change it. If you come up to the ribbon, you're still on the View tab, and over here on the left, there's a View Settings button. If you click that, it'll pop up a dialog box, and each one of these buttons has a whole bunch of settings you can tweak and change on it. in this columns one, that's where you're going to see these settings. So here on the right, you can see the importance. It's got the little exclamation point, whether or not there's a reminder attached to it, the from, the subject, the received, all that kind of thing. You can change the order of them if you'd like. If there are other things you'd like to add on, there are a whole bunch of columns you can add here. I'm going to try and think of one that's going to be a little bit bigger, maybe. This red one is small, but it's pretty obvious. So if I click on whether it's red or not, I can add it. And I'm going to go ahead and add it to the very end so that we know exactly where it is, and I'll click OK, and then OK. And now we can see it added a column showing this little red or unread icon, right? So that's just a minor change, but if you're playing around in here and you don't like something, you can always just click this reset view and it'll pop you back to your default view, just basically the main way that it basically takes you back to the default, which is going to be the 3 columns like we see here. Are there questions about this layout? Obviously, like I said, there are tons of things you can do. We just don't have the time to go through everything, but obviously you can change how it sorts, how they group, if there's automatic filters placed on it, all kinds of stuff. But just that's kind of the general, the way things look, so to speak. And feel free to ask questions if you have any. All right, so next, and if you do have questions, feel free to interrupt and just hop in. Type them into chat and they'll let me know. So we are going to talk about fonts next, how to change your default font. So the default font for all of your emails is typically Calibri, or there's one that's called, I don't know how to pronounce it. We'll look at it in a second. If you want to change your default font, so the font that is sent out by your, when you send an email, you can send it so that it's in a different font. And also you can change it so the things that you are seeing here in the email list are in a different font. What you're going to do for that is you're actually going to come up here to the tabs and you're going to click on File. And then you're going to go down to the Options. And this is kind of the other place where everything is. There's a lot in View and a lot in this Options button. So in Options, we're going to stay in General. Oh, I lied. We're going to come down here to Mail. And then you're going to come to Stationery and Fonts. And you click there. And what this allows you to do is it actually allows you to change the font based on what type of mail message it is. And once these are saved, it will always use that font until you change it again. You can do not just font, but you can also do size, color, everything like that. So a new mail message right now, if I wanted to change the font on all my new outgoing mails, I can click that and you can pick whatever email you want. I'm going to think of one that's...
Braden, sorry to interrupt. You're in
40
minutes.
Perfect, thank you. So you do some goofy font it's really big. Okay. So now you'll notice if I start a new email, everything is going to be in this big font. So that's just an example. I used that one. It was super
Braden,
obvious.
quick question.
Please.
Well, 2 questions. So what if the user doesn't have that font installed? And then secondly,
yeah.
What if they can't get HTML emails?
Yeah, that's a good question. So if you don't receive HTML emails, from what I understand, most email clients will automatically change those to plain text. The reason I haven't actually Googled that, I can't guarantee that, but I have received a number of plain text emails. And plain text is basically it's just a coding format where it's really simple. There's no images, nothing fancy. It's just basically the text. And for a while, when people would send emails from their phone, they seemed to come out in plain text. I would generally stick with standard type fonts, the Calibris and the Times New Romans of the world. This one is actually Seg, whatever that S is. But that's a good question, Patty. It should their email client more than likely will convert that to plain text. Oops, I forgot to change the size.
If they don't have the font.
If they don't have the font, yeah. Similarly, if you want to change the font and have a different font for all the emails that you reply to or that you forward on, you can change that. And also you'll see here, you probably can't tell, it's a little light color. It's a little light blue, and that's actually standard. That, like, if you forward a message, it actually shows light blue so that it makes it obvious. And this is that composing and reading plain text messages. So if somebody sends you a plain text message, you can actually change it, and Outlook will change it to put into whatever font you want. But so that's how you're going to actually change the font. I don't remember what my setting was. I think it was 11 actually. Make it look the same. So that's how you're going to change the font and the size and the style and stuff of your Outlook. The one thing I would caution when you're changing fonts is to basically use like font best practices. We don't have time to spend a lot of time on that, but generally speaking, I would say just keep it professional. You know, obviously you can do whatever you want, but try to avoid the Comic Sans and the impacts of the font world. They just tend to look less professional, and they're harder to read for people. All right, let's jump over, for the sake of time. We're going to talk about grouping conversations, because this is something that has helped me organize my email. I'm not a particularly organized person, and this is something that works for me. It does not work for everybody. We actually will go over some pros and cons, and then we'll hop back in here and I will show you how to do it. So grouping conversation. Oh, sorry. Basically what this means is that when you have it turned on, all the emails in a chain are grouped together regardless of when they were received. And Outlook does it based on the reply chain and the email's subject line. So there are some pros and cons to this that I wanted to cover. Some pros are they do keep an email chain together. So your emails are kind of sorted by topic in a sense, rather than just chronologically. It does make it easier to maintain a record of what everyone has said, because you can see all the emails right there. And it brings the whole conversation. When you get a new email that's part of that conversation, it brings it to the top of your email list. And it drags all of the other emails in that conversation up with it. So when you're looking at the new email, you have easy access to see the others. The difference with this, like if you're just having a reply chain, right? Like a reply, you can scroll down in that same email and it'll show you. And actually, this is a pro I forgot to put on here. If they're grouped, say I send out a group email to 5 people and 2 people reply to me using just the reply, not the reply all option. Those emails will be essentially different emails, right? They won't be on the same. I can't just scroll down in the email to see all of the various replies. This keeps those together. So if Jane Osler sends me one and Jane Lowe sends me one, they will be in the same group, even though they were sent at different times as different replies. Some cons of it. It definitely makes visually searching for a specific email more difficult, and I'll show you why. And then more important emails can get buried in the group. For example, if you get a bunch of thank you emails coming back, the important initial emails can get buried. And to fix that, in my experience, I just delete the thank yous as they come in. That way the more important stuff doesn't tend to get buried. Okay.
Braden,
so,
you're at 20 minutes.
Okay, perfect, thank you. So what this here is not grouped. What we're going to see here, we see here that I sent myself from my personal email an email, and then I replied to it, and then I received this unread response. Right now, they look like just 2 separate emails. But if I come up here to view, and then it's just this little checkbox. So I click show as conversations. What it's going to do is it's going to ask first if I want to do it to all of my mailboxes, all of my folders over here. In this case, I'm going to do it to just this folder. And what it does, and it normally will pop up like that, is you'll see it got rid of that second email. You can't see it now. You can only see the unread one. but now there's a little arrow here. So now if I click on this little arrow, it will drop down and I can see, okay, here's the original one I sent yesterday afternoon. And then this is my reply that I sent from my Outlook account. So this is received from my personal email. I apologize, the name's the same. Received from my personal email, replied from my Outlook, and that's why it's gray. And then a second one is received. So it basically keeps all of those emails in a group rather than, if I turn it off, having them just be separate emails, and my reply, in order to find that, I have to dig into my sent items. Does anybody have any questions with that? This is something that I have found in my primary inbox here. I have found it to be useful, but like I said, it does, if I'm looking for this first email that I received and the group is closed, I can't see it. It doesn't actually show up on the list anymore. Only the most recent email shows up, and I have to click on it to see it. So that's where it makes it more difficult to visually search for emails, but you can always use this search bar here. If you know some of the unique words that are in the email or who it's from, you can always use the search to find it that way, and it'll bring it up. It does not group emails that are deleted. So if I were to go in and delete this one, say there was 10 emails in this and I deleted one, that one would be gone from the group. So you don't have to worry about those continuing. Questions on that before we move on? Apologize if it's a little bit confusing, but I didn't want to use real emails, so there aren't very many of them there. Okay, next we are going to jump over into the contacts section, which is these two. If you come to the extreme bottom left of your Outlook window, if you click on the two little people, that's going to jump you over into your contacts. Once again, you can change the general layout of the contacts. But luckily this time they gave them to us right here on the first page. So we can stay on the home tab and they're right here. The people is the default, which is just going to be all of the list of people with their pictures if they've put one in. You can click on business cards and it will show it in more of a business card format, including if there's a phone number included, if there's an address included, things like that. It will give you a little more information. The card is similar, but without the picture. It just gives you the details, and obviously the details change depending on who it is. And this actually might be one that you have to fill out. Yeah, I think you have to fill out certain things for it to work right. I never have done that. I should have done that for this. I apologize, but you can see what it's doing and how it works. This phone one and the list one, I don't see a big difference on. You know, you could spend some time and Google it if you'd like, but I would just use the list if that was my goal. And with the list, again, you can see all of these columns, and it kind of just gives you more information. So it's really pretty basic, but it gives you the options. If you come to view, you can, again, you've got view settings and you've got a bunch of different settings. You can change how your contacts are sorted automatically, how they're filtered automatically. You know, makes it pretty straightforward. If you change things in here in the settings, you can just click this reset view. It's currently grayed out. Okay, the last thing I wanted to show you in contacts was contact groups. So you'll see here, Andrea keeps a contact group for us of all of the EMSC managers, right? So I know exactly where I can go to get all of the managers, and they're not all in there, you know, filling up my contacts list. If you, so that's, there are some real benefits to the grouping and contacts. So for example, if you send emails to the same 5 people all the time, like all the members of your team, it's a faster way than typing in each person's email address into your email. So what you do in order to group those is you're going to come up here and you're just going to click new contact group. And then you'll click add members. And you can select so depending on your where you work, like here at the University of Utah, if I click on address book, it's going to give me every email for everybody who has a U of U email address, which is a lot. So I'm just going to do my Outlook contacts. Those are the ones that just I have saved. And I can say, okay, I want a a group that has just all the people that have a name that starts with A. You're going to click on it and then click on members, and it will drop it down here. And click OK. So I've got 3 people that start with an A. I'll go ahead and click OK, and I'll say this is my AA group. That sounds bad. That sounds like Alcoholics Anonymous. AAA, the American Automobile Association. Save and close. And now you can see those 3 contacts are still available to me as individual contacts, but they're available to me as a group. The benefit of that, I'll show you. I'm going to hop over here into emails again. If I start a new email, what I can do is I can click on 2 and then go to my contacts. And then I highlight it and click the 2 button and click OK. And now it will automatically send to those 3. If I'm curious who is in that group, you click the little plus, say OK, and then it'll expand it like normal. So the contact groups can be really useful, particularly if there is a group of people that you're constantly sending the same email to, or not the same email. If you're sending any emails to the same group of people, the contact group can really save you time on that. The last thing we'll do here is jump over to calendars really quick. I apologize, half an hour goes fast. This here is my calendar. Again, the main formatting layout options for your calendar are going to be right up here under home in the middle. If you want to see just today, you'll click day and it'll give you just today. I like work week because it gives me Monday through Friday. I can kind of see what I'm dealing with and I don't have to deal with, like, week will show them Sunday, Saturday, which I have grayed out. And then the whole month. The month can get a little full as you've got, it still tries to tell you everything you've had in that day, but it does give you a nice view of everything that's going on. Let's see what important. So multiple calendars. I think this is important to point out. So you can show multiple calendars at the same time, including someone else's calendar. And if you want to see someone else's calendar, the easiest way to do that is to have them go into Outlook, and then they can select this Share Calendar button. And they can put in your email address, click send, and it will send you a link. And it gives you the option. They can see full details, only whether or not you're busy, or some limited details like the name of it, but I think not the details within the calendar appointment. That's the easiest way to have somebody share their calendar with you, or for you to share your calendar with them. Again, is going to be in the calendar. You'll come up here in the ribbon under home to share calendar, type in that person's email address and click send.
Hey, Braden.
Yep.
Just in the last minute or so here, Renee asked a question. She said, is there a way to import a contact list and make it a new contact group?
I would honestly have to look at that. Let me look into that, Renee. I think there probably is.
It's actually something that we do, Renee, when Andrea sends an email. She'll send us the full contact list, and yeah, we just copy and paste it in.
Yeah, within Outlook, there definitely is. And that's, so if there's a contact group within Outlook that somebody has created, all you need to do actually is you can start a new email. So if it's a group that's already in Outlook, you can share it with somebody else. Oh, sorry. By opening up a new email. Sorry, I need to see it all. And then you can actually just drag and drop. You have to have the 2 windows open so you can see it. And then if I send this to you, you get that. And then for you to put it back in your email, you can just take it and drag and drop it into your contacts. Because that's actually how this, obviously managers change when we're talking all 58 states and territories. And this one has a date, you'll see. Andrea is kind of the boss of this. She does it for us, which is great. We appreciate that. And she sends us a new one whenever she gets a new one. She updates the list and then sends us an email with the new list. So does that answer your question, or are you wondering if you can bring in an external contact list from somewhere else?
She's asking, how does she make it originally? I think we could probably reach out to you, since we're out of time. We can reach out to you offline.
To make a new one in Outlook, you're just going to do this new contact group. And then in order to make a contact group, you have to have a contact in your list. So you can always just add new contacts. You add everybody in, and then you'll go new contact group and then find their names, you know. Oh, excuse me, that's the name of the thing. You'll click add members is what it is from Outlook contacts, and then it'll give you the list. And then you can select everybody that you want to be in it.
And yeah, and when you forward that to somebody, they won't, all those members won't be added to your contact list.
Right. Yep. They'll just remain in the, because there's a lot of people here in this EMSC managers list. If we open it up, you can see it's, you know, 50, 60 people long. I don't have that, all of those managers here in my main contact list. Most of those just live here in this EMSC program managers. I apologize that we ran out of time a little bit.
Hey, Braden, super fast.
No, please.
And Jane's going to kill me. But just so you know, on your calendar, you can make something private. Like, for example, install tires. If Braden
This is a
didn't want me
personal
to
one. I
see
made it.
that, he can
I made it
make
green because
private,
that's personal.
up where the private lock is.
Oh, right
and
there.
Then it's still on your calendar and you can see it, but other people can't see it.
Okay. Yeah, that's actually really helpful if you have your own personal things on there and stuff. But if your email is shared, or your calendar is shared with the full details, so your boss wants to see the details on your calendar, you can put your private things and keep them private. And then when it is shared, other people will just see busy is what it will show. Here's an example of that. So this is the team with multiple calendars. This is Andrea's and Jane's, and you just see everything says busy. So I just know that Andrea is busy. I don't know what she's doing, you know, but I know, okay, now I can't schedule a meeting with Jane on Wednesday at 10 because she's got a meeting already or she's got something going on. So,
great point. Thanks so much for addressing that. So many cool features and things to do in Outlook.
More than we have time for. What I honestly would say, get in there and play around. If you're in the file options, remember what you turn on and turn off, because if you don't like it, you'll need to go in and turn it back off. But if you're here in the view settings, like view and then that button, the stuff you play around with here, you can reset by just clicking this reset view. So those feel free to go crazy on and just click reset view if you don't like it. With file, feel free to play around in the file options, but know what you did so that you can undo it if you don't like it.
Yeah. And to that point, next month, we're going to be exploring the options bar, not what Braden just showed you, but there's an options bar when you open your email to compose a new email. Thank you so much, Braden. This was so much fun to be able to kind of look and see what's available to just kind of set things up to begin with. Next month, Jane Lowe is going to be taking us on a deeper dive to email settings specifically. So look forward to that in October. Just want to thank you all so much for what you do for EMSC. Your unique talents and things that you bring to the table just really help to improve the program. We can't thank you enough for all that you do. And Braden's going to be taking over for me next month in October, and that will be our last Tech Talk of the year until we start back up again in January 2023. So if you have any ideas or questions, anything follow-up, feel free to reach out to Braden at braden.green at hsc.utah.edu. All of our Tech Talks are recorded and posted on our website as well as our YouTube channel. We'll be sending those links out very soon. We hope you all have a wonderful afternoon, and thanks so much for joining us, especially any new managers that were with us today. Welcome, and we hope to see you again real soon. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody. Renee, I just saw your comment. I will take a look